In this video, we're going to show you how to install the radiator on your Nissan Murano located behind the front bumper. Now before starting this job, you want to go ahead and bring the vehicle down and have the AC system professionally evacuated before opening up any of the AC system. After we have evacuated the AC, we want to go ahead and remove this upper cover here. We use our trim tool, pop out the center of the button, and then pull out the base. Lift up that cover and set it aside. Want to go disconnect our expansion tank hose here. You might lose a little bit of coolant from here. So if you want to, you can put some towels underneath the vehicle. Pull it out of the little retainer. I'm just going to tuck this aside for now. Disconnect this sensor here in the middle. It's going to be a little push tab right here. Normally you can push down with your finger and separate that. I like to use my little pocket screwdriver, little flathead, separate that. Now we'll go ahead and remove these two plastic covers right here. There's going to be a few plastic push pins just like on the upper cover. Pop out the center. There's one right here. One right here. And then we have three over here on the passenger side. Take care of those as well. Same location, just opposite side. Now that we have these two panels loose, let's go ahead and separate our hood release cable here. There's a little ball end here. I'm going to bring this over, separate that. Now that we have the ball end released there, we can use our pliers just to pinch on the little tabs right here and pull this through. Pull that cable off to the side. Pull up our trays. Just tuck that off to the side. Now we want to go ahead and remove our hood release unit here. There's going to be three 10mm bolts. There's one right here in front of the hood latch. Then the other two, they're down on top of the bumper itself. Go ahead and grab the whole unit and lift it up and out. Now our condenser is bolted to our radiator. There's going to be two 10mm bolts up top. One here on the passenger side, same spot on the other side, on the driver's side here. Now we're going to use our 10mm socket to go ahead, loosen and remove these. Now on the passenger side here, the AC lines come from the AC condenser and run through to this junction right here. There's a 10mm bolt in the middle, and these tend to be corroded and fused. So we're going to try and loosen this. Here it is. Now, even though we had the system evacuated, when we go to separate this here, you might hear a quick hiss or a pop. It's just a little bit of pressure in there, and it's not going to cause any issues. So go ahead and grab this and wiggle that up and off. Going to be an O-ring on there as well. All right. So we have this off here. Just going to pull this off and tuck it off to the side for now. And then this one here is a separate hose or a line. Pop that out. Now the junction that we just disconnected on the inner portion of our engine bay, those two lines come through here, and they also connect to the front side of the AC condenser. There's a 10mm bolt holding that as well. Loosen and remove this bolt. I'll slide this over a little bit. Now I'm grabbing the lines from the inside here, and I'm just kind of wiggling these here. Is on the left side here, we're just going to push our little air diverter over, and we want to go ahead and work this out. Here is that unit right there. Down on the side here, there's going to be a sensor, our pressure switch, and then there's an electrical connector right beside it. So we're going to reach down there and want to push in on the little tab on ours. The tab is on the bottom of that harness. There it is. Go ahead and slide the AC condenser up and out. With our AC condenser out of the way here, let's go ahead and remove our radiator cap. We're going to reuse that, so just set that aside for now. Now that we have the cap off, let's go ahead and drain the cooling system. Now with the vehicle raised and supported, you want to go ahead and remove the splash shield covering the bottom side of the engine if your vehicle has it. Ours doesn't, so we're going to go ahead and skip to the next part. Now right in the center here, there's going to be a drain for the radiator. Now on our particular vehicle, it is a Phillips head. I'm going to use my Phillips head screwdriver. And go ahead and loosen this. Now we are wearing gloves and safety glasses. We have our catch can underneath. There it is. I just popped up the little plastic plug and let that drain out. All right, so most of the coolant is done here. I'm going to go ahead and throw our plug back in. Still a little bit of coolant still left in here, but we're just going to snug this down. And now we're going to move to the lower passenger side and remove the radiator hose. There's probably going to be some residual coolant there as well. So just relocate your drain bucket. Use your pliers. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that clamp and I'm going to move it forward off of the hose. right, slide that back. And just as we predicted, a little more coolant there. Now we want to go ahead and disconnect our transmission lines here. Ideally, you want to go ahead and get your pliers on here. And our clamp is pretty disgusting. We're going to definitely replace these here if they look rusty like ours. Highly recommend to go ahead and replace these so you don't end up with a broken clamp and a leaking transmission line later on down the road or on the road. Now we do have a catch can underneath. Twist and work this off. Safety glasses, highly recommend it, and gloves as well. Now on the driver's side, we have this transmission line. We're going to use our pliers. I'm just using a pair of needle nose to get in there, pinch that and slide that off. Now back up top, we have our brackets here, one on the passenger side, one on the driver's side that hold our radiator. There's two 10mm bolts. It's going to be the same on the driver's side. Loosen the hardware. Once you get those out, go ahead and pop these off. Do the same on the driver's side. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and unbolt our active shutter grille, which is right behind our bumper. It is actually bolted on the passenger side. There's a bracket right here. And there's a 10mm bolt right on the other side of it we need to access. Now it's fairly simple to get to. We're going to use our shallow 10mm socket on our ratchet. And we're going to get that up in there. Loosen and remove this bolt. Here's a bolt. Now with that loose, we should be able to pull that back and in turn, grab that radiator. I'm going to lift that up. So I have to pull that back and that lower radiator hose port should clear the brace. Let's move back up top and pull the radiator out. With those clamps removed, we can now pull the radiator forward, giving us access to this upper clamp. Break that clamp free. If you can, slide that back. Grab that hose, break that free. And go ahead and work that off. Grab the radiator. up and out. Now with the radiator removed, you do want to go ahead and look down on either side. There should be a grommet. This is where the radiator plastic base pins mount into. The other side actually popped out. We found it attached to the bottom of the radiator, so go ahead and just pull that right off. And want to insert that. There we go. Now we also want to go ahead and clean up any residual fluid here. We do have some transmission fluid that leaked out. We're going to use some spray solvent, spray that down, wipe it down, make sure our area is clean and ready for a new component to go in. Now that we're all cleaned up, let's go ahead and install the radiator. Now before installing the new radiator, go ahead and grab your flathead screwdriver and you want to make sure that the petcock or the drain here is tight. Go ahead and snug that down, it'll bottom out. Now we do have rubber caps on our transmission lines. We're going to leave those on until we drop this down in a position. We don't want to have any debris fall down inside here. And then once it's down, we can go underneath the vehicle and pop those off. Let's go ahead and grab our radiator. Go ahead and guide this down. Going to get our unit drop down. Have to reach down and push that back. We do want to go ahead and get our radiator lowered down into those rubber grommets. All right, the radiator is down inside the rubber grommets. Our next step, install that upper radiator hose. Now the hoses are something that you definitely want to double check. If they are swollen, split, or seem like they're starting to dry rot, you definitely want to replace these. Now is the perfect time to do it. Ours look good. Now I want to go ahead and get our hose on here. However, because of the age of the vehicle, we are going to go ahead and replace this clamp. We do not want to risk a clamp failing, leaving us stranded on the road. Just going to install our upper brackets here. I'm going to drop this on top here. Then I'm going to go ahead and drop the one on the driver's side. Just pop that on there. That way we can push us right up against the support and get our bolt started. And get the two on the driver's side started, and then we'll come on back and snug all four down. Go ahead and snug those down gently. Now that we have the upper portion of our radiator secured, we are going to go down below, but at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pop our radiator cap on. I don't want to have any debris fall down inside of this while we're working on it. So I'm just going to pop this on for now and close that up. Now we replace the upper radiator hose, we're going to do the bottom one as well. Get that popped on, and then we'll go ahead and snug that down. sure it's good and snug. Let's go ahead and install our transmission lines. I'm going to clean up that line and get rid of this old rusty garbage. Go ahead and grab a proper new line, or go ahead and grab a proper new hose clamp. Remove that little plastic cap on there, and then slip our line on. Position that clamp. Now we're just using the simple flathead screwdriver to snug this down. All right, let's go ahead and get the other one installed. All right, we're going to remove the cap here. And due to the hose having to go so far in, we can't use the regular band clamp. So what we did was we actually carefully inspected our clamp that we removed. It is in good reusable condition. Make sure the hose is all the way in and it's seated, meaning just bottomed out, really. I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick spray with some spray solvent. You never want to leave your work area dirty or residual fluids. I'm going to do the same on the middle line. Now, when installing the active shutter on this side here, there's going to be a little tab up top right above the bolt hole. So you're going to take this unit, you're going to pull it out, push it up, and then drop it down onto the tab and pull it down. It catches it and holds it in place. I'm going to go ahead and take your bolt, feed that up, and we want to go ahead and get that started. And then we'll grab a ratchet and we're going to gently snug that down. All right, once that bottoms out, just snug it a little bit more. Now that we have everything buttoned up on the bottom, if your vehicle does have the splash shield on the bottom, you now want to go ahead and install that. Once that's all set, we're going to move back up top. Now before we drop in our AC condenser, we do need to get the piping put in first. We're going to run that through the panel and into the engine compartment. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of PAG oil now on the O-rings. And this is the AC oil itself. Just get feed this through. There we go. It's fed up to the other side. I'm going to go ahead and pop out the little rubber plugs. All right, let's go ahead and drop our AC condenser down in a position. Go ahead and lower that down. Grab that electrical connector for our switch. Now is the time to do it. If you forget this now and assemble everything, you're not going to be happy later on. So let's go ahead and plug that in. You're going to hear and feel it snap into position. Get the AC condenser lower tabs mounted onto the radiator bracket down below. All right. Next is, let's go ahead and get this tubing system set up. Gonna push this down, wiggle that into position. With that PAG oil on those O-rings, it popped right into position. I'm gonna get my bolt started in here. Right, that's made it up nice. I am going to use my 10 millimeter with an extension. Drop that on down there. I do want to make sure that it's just gently snug. You don't have to go super, super tight on this. Screwdriver was probably plenty sufficient. It was just that tiny bit there. All right, before we install these here, I'm going to get some PAG oil on these O-rings as well. Let's go ahead and get this inner port lined up. Then this here lines up. Go ahead and position that. Make sure that it's seated. Make sure your bolt hole lines up. I'm going to go ahead and snug this down. So I can see both sides seated. It is seated perfectly all the way around. Let's go ahead and install our screws here for our AC condenser into our radiator. Now these are screws. They're almost like self-tappers, so you know you're not going to mess anything up here. Do not tighten it. Just get it started in there. Get the other one started. Gently snug it. Do not over tighten it. You will crack the radiator. So once it bottoms out, stop. That's it. Nice and easy. Let's drop down our hood latch unit. I did source a couple replacement bolts for down below here. Ours were not in the greatest shape, so I just sourced out a pair for the bottom, matching the upper. And we're just going to go ahead and tighten this down. All right, make sure those are good and tight. All right, let's go ahead and remove our radiator cap. Set that aside. Then we're going to bring our cover over. Connect our connector here. Bring our cable over. I'm going to take the ball end here, and it needs to go into this little notch. So we can actually do that first, and then just pull the cable and snap that into place. I'm going to go ahead and pop our radiator cap back on. Let's go ahead and install our plastic push pins around the perimeter here. the upper portion. We just flex this back and go underneath. Do the same on the other side, and then we'll pop in our buttons there. Now that we have the plastic cover installed, let's bring our expansion tank hose over. Slide that on to the radiator. Line this up, pop it into the little plastic retainer right here. And then don't forget to bring the clamp over like so. Now at this point here, before we install the upper cover, it's going to be easy for us to go ahead and access our fill port. And let's grab our funnel. And we'll be sure to fill this up with the appropriate coolant recommended by the manufacturer. We're going to continue doing this until it's filled up. Now at this point here, we're filled up on the radiator. We're going to go ahead and pull our fill funnel out. Might spill just a little bit there. We're going to go ahead and install our radiator cap. Next step here, you want to go ahead and start up the vehicle. Let it run for about 10 minutes. Wait for that thermostat to open up. As this circulates, the thermostat will take that coolant into the engine. It's going to pull it from here. In the expansion tank here, it will pull from the expansion unit on the left-hand side or the passenger side of the engine bay. At that point there, you want to go ahead and keep an eye on the fill or full level on this here. You don't want to open up the radiator cap when it's hot. You want to go ahead and open this up and fill it through here and make sure that it is at that full mark. Go for a road test, maintain that full level, top it off as needed, and you're all set. Then we'll come back here and install our cover. Let's install our upper cover here. Lining everything up. And we'll just go ahead and get our plastic push pins installed. And just do this all the way around the perimeter. Now that we've completed the job, you want to bring the vehicle down to the local shop and have the AC system professionally recharged. Go up under the hood. I want to go ahead and locate your transmission fluid fill right here. It's just to the right of the engine cover and to the left of the air intake portion here. Now I'm going to use a small flathead pocket screwdriver. I'm going to go inside the hole right on the side here. And I'm going to find a little tab. I'm going to pry that out gently and then grab this cap and wiggle it up and off. So this is what you're pulling out. And this is the hole that you're going to put your pocket screwdriver into. This does have a rubber O-ring seal on it. Now when replacing the radiator, you're going to lose roughly about a cup of transmission fluid. So we're going to put a clean funnel in here. And we're going to put about 16 ounces of CVT fluid in there. All right, I'm going to put our cap on that so in case we knock it over, it doesn't spill. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean our O-ring seal here with a rag. All right, I'm going to go ahead and press this down after I remove our funnel here. Press that down, you should feel it pop in, lock on. Here we go. At this point here, you're ready to go ahead and go for a road test. Now that we've completed the job, you want to bring the vehicle down to the local shop and have the AC system professionally recharged.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.